proudly sponsored by Premier Guns.
Hey, always a pleasure.
Nice to see you. The consultation finally arrived.
Thank goodness for that. Yeah, no, it was a bit of a wait, but it would appear the government have made their decisions and they know which way they're going. So, no, good help.
Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with it. What were your favourite parts of the consultation?
Well, I think the great relief for the trade is that we've applied a bit of logic. We know that the Plymouth inquest dealing with all those tragic incidents was all about police mistakes. Now, those in themselves were really unfortunate. They were part of a systemic problem. I think we've identified what those problems are. The coroner was very clear in most of what he said about it being about police knowledge, police training, and that's where the government have concentrated their effort, and I think that's absolutely right.
I think there's some really creative stuff in there, particularly the bit where it talks about mental health. Do you think people should be more readily able to access help? How do you kind of feel about shooters that want to visit a doctor but feel that they can't because it's going to impact on their licence holding?
Well, I think the gun trade are absolutely committed to protecting public safety. I mean, I deal with inquiries from registered arms dealers every day of the week, making sure that they're doing the right thing and making sure that guns don't fall into the hands, certainly of criminals, but also people who might not be safe with guns. And I think that helping people that might not at any one time be comfortable with their own possession of firearms is an important thing. You know, if we can help, by storing guns or whatever for temporary periods while people sort out their lives, that's not a problem.
So I'm guessing you agree with the buddy system that they've suggested. That looks really good to me.
Yeah, I mean it's difficult to know whether that would suit everyone, but I think the relationship between licensing departments and shooting clubs and shooting organisations is absolutely the right way to develop relationships. So we all have a conversation about what's going on.
Yeah, I think so too. So my final question, there was talks about a helpline for people. If they're a dedicated helpline, if somebody's concerned about a licence holder, their state of mind. Do you think that's something that the Gun Trade Association would be paying for?
I'm not sure it's I'm a great supporter of people being able to access help and advice. I mean, there are times when all of us have issues in our personal lives that might conflict with the possession of firearms. Now, I would like to try and find ways to help people through that. Is there a need for a helpline? I think an advice line would be really useful. And there are organisations that could support such a thing. There are many helplines for people who have issues with their own mental health anyway, and I think it would be useful to add an extra layer where people who are certificate holders or registered firearms dealers could actually access advice. So yeah, I think advice lines would be really helpful.
Is that something that the GTA would be able to get involved in, do you think?
Well, our members constantly phone me up on advice for all sorts of different issues, and we're always there for anyone that's got an issue about anything to do with licensing, their RFD certification or whatever. So yeah, we're here anyway. Could more be done? Of course it could. And there's some we the GTA, we're involved in developing a mental health guidance document for with Police Scotland and the Scottish shooting organisations, who have produced a brilliant pamphlet that just explains who they might talk to. And the Gamekeepers Welfare Trust have also done a really good phone line to allow people with concerns to phone.
So do you think that people that are struggling, that are firearms licence holders, that are worried that they might have their guns taken away, and that's preventing them from accessing help, do you think that helpline is something they should be using rather than going straight to the doctor?
Not my topic, not going to mention it.
Okay.
So,
because that is a concern.
Talk to me about trade.
That is a
stuff.
concern that some people have, isn't it? They're worried about seeing their doctor because they're worried that it's going to affect their ability.
There are so many examples where the police have shown wisdom in helping people through difficult times. So, yeah, there may be temporary restriction of access to firearms whilst people deal with the peak of their problems, but the police have been very useful in terms of helping people back into shooting. Shooting provides the mental health stability for so many people, and I think that's something we've got to recognise. And there will be moments where things are uncertain, and at that stage everyone needs to work together to ensure we support public safety. But I think through mental health issues, through domestic challenges, actually working with the police is not a bad thing, and asking for help is not an issue in itself.
Thank you so much for that. One thing I did want to ask you, being from the Gun Trade Association, what are your thoughts on an RFD holder being a referee for an individual? Because I can see how this could work both ways, so I'd just love to know what you think about that.
So for a long time, RFDs have not been allowed to be referees for certificate holders. I think that's probably very sensible. We wouldn't want an RFD to be engaged with a customer, giving him a reference that might in some way be associated with his interest in doing business. Keeping the two separate is a good thing, and I'm delighted the RFD doesn't have the responsibility or the additional burden of having to sponsor or being a referee for certificate holders.
So, never mind the consultation, what do you think should prohibit people from having a firearms? What are your actual thoughts on?
Well, in the 1968 Firearms Act, as amended, there is a section called Section 21 that talks about prohibited people. And maybe you've been to a range where you're out to fire some clays, and you've been asked You've been asked to fill in a form that says, "I'm not a prohibited person."
Yeah.
Now, many people won't even know what they're signing, but a prohibited person is somebody who's been sentenced for a long period of time under a custodial sentence, so they've gone to jail. And if they have committed a crime that has a long sentence, then they are restricted from their access to firearms.
Automatically, aren't they?
Automatically.
And that's regardless of the offence.
Including air guns. So I think the consultation is just looking at whether the length of sentence is the best way of judging it, or whether we should be looking at what the offence is in terms of whether it's a violent offence or something that relates to firearms. We'll wait and see what the shooting organisations come up with in terms of their advice on the topic.
Yeah, okay. And will you be contributing to that? Are you all working together?
Of course, I mean the Section 21 applies to registered firearms dealers and their servants, so of course it's relevant.
I meant yourself and the other shooting organisations. Is that
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, we've got a meeting of the British Shooting Sports Council where we coordinate the community view, and once we've considered that, we will provide a very constructive response to government. In slightly more than just answering a yes/no question.
Absolutely.
We provide something a little bit longer,
a bit more substantial,
and give them our opinion.
Okay, well let's catch up when you've had your meeting.
That'd be a great idea.
Thanks, Simon. Nice to see you.
With Alex Sayre.